Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Judgement Day with me, Marc Cairney. It's the time of the week where we get to answer the questions put in by you, the viewers, the most important people that make the channel tick. So thanks for everybody for putting the questions in. We've picked out 3 ones that just seem to be topical this week, but all the questions we're getting in are all great and we appreciate them all. And we will get around to answering more people's questions as the week's going. Not only that, if there's anything that we've discussed or I've discussed on the show, picked up on the live chat during one of the shows and I'll try and expand on some of the points I've made. I think the first question to get is coming in from Charles Smith. How you doing, Chico? Hope things are going well for you, mate. If you were the managing director at Celtic, what department would you be wanting to invest in the most from the said £50 million in the bank? That's a good question, Charles. For me, I think it goes into grassroots. And I'm not talking about the under fives. See, I'm talking about how we train our development teams right up to first team level. I know Barrowfield with Celtic will get planning permission granted in November 2021, and there's still no a brick being laid. Now, I think Peter Lawwell mentioned it last week in the interim reports about Celtic are pushing ahead with investment for that area of the park, that area of the club. Now, the initial investment was for indoor training facilities and indoor changing facilities. Now, the indoor training facility will be used by the first team as well. Now, which is quite good, but I want to get away from that for a minute. I want to talk about how we are investing on the Celtic players of tomorrow. Now, I'm one of the main members of the bus that's going on about how Celtic need to invest on new first team talent. I think that's really important. No club can solely concentrate on the players that they've got coming in through the youth system. So who you're investing on the first team ready players is so important, but it doesn't mean you can't really take a firm focus on what's happening at the youth development stages at the club, because for years now it's been a wee axe for the Celtic fans a wee axe being grind, by the Celtic fans that we're not bringing through enough youth players into the setup, and that's probably true. I mean, if you bear in mind though that Cal McGregor's there, James Forrest is there, Kieran Tierney came through the system, Connor Hazard. Don't forget he saved 3 penalties to win us the Scottish Cup. He's been out on loan, I think, again. And players have come through, and there's too many players coming through that are getting 2 and 3 games and then not coming back. So I think that all starts on how they're developed. You know what I mean? I think major investment has to be put into that side of the business as such. I mean, we've got a women's team and a youth team playing out at Airdrie Stadium sometimes, and sometimes at Petershill, etc. We need to invest in a small stand, a small stadium to try and get that professional look for our youth players. It helps bring in the best talent if we can get youth players for Europe as well. And if I had the keys to the safe at Celtic Park, that's one of the areas where I would invest in. I think when you're looking at Celtic and how they're performing off the park, the finances are superb. But see, when you actually kick the tyres and how we're bringing you through youth players, it's so difficult for a youth player to get through at Celtic, because even when the league's won or games have won, the manager's got a priority, an obligation to the first team players who are chapping at the door to give them game time. So the youth players get pushed further down the pecking order. Now, is it one the same as investment on the youth academy? And I think it is. I think the more you invest in these systems, these structures, the better these players are going to be able to cope with the intense, the intense nature of being a first team player at Celtic. You can never recreate Celtic Park with 60,000 people in it, and that's that pressure that comes with it. You can never recreate that, but if you can recreate the professional standards at ground level and bring in top quality coaches, not just guys who are played for the club 20 years ago and they've got jobs for life, properly look at the structure of Celtic. I mean, one of the things that I would do if I was looking at the structure of Celtic is not only look at how we're setting up the youth system and invest heavily in these facilities for the youth team, I would look at what the contingency plan is for Celtic. Now, Ange Postecoglou, we've got one of the most forward-thinking managers we've ever had at the club just now. So what's going to happen after him? Are we just going to leave all his knowledge in a briefcase and let him take it with him? No, we have to pick his brains, get that level of character within the club, get him up at a director's level or a sporting director's level, learn from him. So the next manager comes in, follows that vision, follows that pathway. And then Celtic, in my opinion, will only benefit for having a structure that's not only rolling all the time in the one direction, but picking up a pace and always looking to make Celtic better in the next stage of their development. And that starts with youth development, and it certainly doesn't end with first team development, but it's areas of the park, it's areas of the club that Celtic really need to invest in and concentrate in. Just now it's not a priority because of how well things are going after the park, but I always say when things are going well, that's when you should start to scrutinise what you're doing and find out ways of doing it better. Because if you're making a gap for your competitors, then make it wider, then start pushing towards Europe if you can, and seeing where you are, where you really are, and hoping that one day they're going to bridge that gap between you and the very best. And that does start for how you treat your youth players and how you structure that entire setup. That was a good question, Charles. Thanks for writing in, mate. Next one is Scott Cameron, our old pal. Scott, how are you doing, mate? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in, and it's always good to see you popping up the comments, buddy. Okay, do you think all will start on Saturday with Kyogo being out? This seems the perfect fit at the perfect time. Scott, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, it just looks to me like he's gained confidence with that goal. I don't think he's lacked confidence in his ability. Far from it. I think he's looked quite cocky when he's come on the park, and I like that. And a tall, muscly striker that they want to fling defenders about and they want to show their presence. Whether I think Ange will give him 90 minutes, I'm not entirely sure, because the way he was speaking the other day there, he still thinks O's still a bit off it. And you heard him speaking about Kyogo's fitness, and he says, look, we can't concentrate on one match. There's longer term thinking at clubs like Celtic, and I want to not just concentrate on the short term, but worry about these guys' careers as such. And that might mean bringing a player in too early, and it could end up getting an injury through that, or he comes out it feeling like he's not performed at the level he can, and it gives him a wee bit of doubt in his head. I don't think that is the case with all. I think this guy is going to hit the ground running. I really do. For me on Saturday, I would start him. I think Kyogo's fit. I just don't think it's hit the press yet. I think he will make the cup final, but I think either way he'll not play Saturday, and that's a bonus for Celtic because it's one less game he can't get injured in. If he needs a rest, just let him rest and then give him his weekend to himself. Let him sit in the stand and cheer the team on. I think if you're going to start him, you can't give him any more than 60 minutes. But I think we should start him. Not only does it put questions or put doubts in the Rangers camp's mind about how Celtic are going to set up next Saturday, it also gives the Celtic fans a wee glimpse to see what he's capable of. You know what I mean? I think we can all see a player there, but none of us have seen what he's capable of doing yet. We all seen him play against St Mirren, and the half an hour they goal, he looked like a pure pest, a handful. He got a good goal. I mean, when you look at it for what it was a tap in, but seeing you actually look at the guy's movement, he was class. He was running the defenders ragged. He was in the right area at the right time. He saw the keeper. He saw the shot coming in, and he anticipated the save. And that's a good asset for a striker. I mean, I think we had that in Giakoumakis. And I said to the beginning, if we're going to sell Giakoumakis, let's try and replace him with a guy with similar attributes, because if one thing's for sure, Ange Postecoglou knows what he wants, and it's not a coincidence that the two strikers he's brought in to be second choice are of the exact same type. And that just shows me that he's willing to shake up a bit. He's not just this guy that wants to play off the defender's shoulders. He likes to get a bit of argy-bargy in there, I know, and try and muscle defenders off the ball. And Celtic, for the last however many years I've been watching Celtic, I've always had that kind of tall target man that can rough it up. We've all seen what a tall, muscly striker can do to Rangers defenders. I mean, their centre-backs just don't like it. Whether it was Bhoycie last year, or they just don't like it at all. They just don't like the physical presence. They're always concentrating on them. And see, when they're concentrating on your striker, they're hesitating to go forward. It keeps them back 15, 20 yards. Gives the midfield one less option to pass to when they're trying to build up for the back. And that's so important for Celtic's press. When Celtic are pressing, we want to give them as little options as possible. If you've got a striker who can hang on the edge of the centre-backs for 90 minutes, it's going to keep giving them questions, Scott. And I think you're spot on, buddy. The time is now for O to start. He's probably only had about 80 minutes of football at Celtic, if that. But I think Saturday he should start and get an hour. Will they get to start? I'm not entirely sure, Scott, but I'm like you, buddy. I hope that come Saturday, he's on that team sheet, and with the kind of eye on next Sunday that he comes on the park to replace Kyogo to either see the game out or to help us out when we're looking for that killer goal. Thanks for the question, Scott. Okay. Next up, we've got Charles Sweeney. How you doing, Charles? Thanks for putting in your question again, buddy. Given the few youth academy players make it into the first team, should we shut down the youth system? No, Charles, I totally get where you're coming from. I think the youth system has been totally forgotten about at Celtic the last couple of years. But as I spoke about earlier on, talking about the development plans, I do feel like there is progress there. At some levels, we have had some good players coming through the system. I mean, Rocco Vata, he's just started to get in the first team. He's only 17-year-old with Boston Lawal. He's made a couple of appearances at pre-season. He came on this season for a few minutes. He's been in a few first team squads. Dane Murray, he started against Midtjylland last season, I think it was. We've not seen much of him. I think he may have went out on loan. I'm not entirely sure. But these guys have all been at a level at one time or another that Ange has introduced them into the first team squad, whether that be necessity or whether that be through merit. I think Ange just doesn't give players game time or a short number just for merit, just for the sake of it. I think he's a very meticulous man. I think when he put a first team player out of joint just to tick boxes, it was different under Gordon Strachan. You heard Gordon Strachan speak before about the frustration, the UEFA rules at the time that he had to put 3 youth players on the bench and they were just picking up one bonus. And he was saying, look, I've got first team players that deserve a jersey before these youth players, and it's bad for their development to get in too early. But times have changed. Celtic have got a big squad. I think the 5 substitution rule is in Celtic's favour. I think you probably noticed that Celtic have always been a team that scores late goals. That's due to their fitness and that's due to their ability. But what we've found is we're getting a lot more times where their substitutes are scoring goals, and that can be good for the other teams. So it just shows you the strength and their depth. And that does come down a wee bit to why we're not seeing a lot of youth players coming through. It's just there's too much talent or too much players that are in the first team that deserve it before them. Now, I expect by this time next season for us to have seen Rocco Vata maybe 5, 6, even 10 times by now. I think the guy's progressing at a steady rate. I think Ange likes him. I think Ange has spoken about him a few times. I mean, there was a wee guy, Eto, I think it was. He's went to loan to Dunfermline. Aston Villa looked like they want to buy him. I had Fulham were interested in him. That's big clubs in England that looking at for this guy, and I think that's one of the reasons why he was put out on loan, because I think Celtic know they might lose him. I think there is talent in there. We're just, because there's no reserve football nowadays, and we've got that B team. We're kind of looking at the B team, and I think it's got a stigma attached to it where you're kind of looking at it and you're saying it's just, we're just ticking boxes now. Whereas when I had the reserve team, you used to always look at the scores and look at the league table. I don't think many people concentrate on that B team. It's got a wee bit of stigma, as I say. It just seems a bit like a box ticking exercise that Celtic fans are not all that interested in. We got a big crowd for the derby match a few months ago, but that's what was going to happen. Celtic will watch Rangers play Tiddlywinks if they put it on show, and I think the Celtic fans will always like to see a derby match. But I think you will see a bit more players in the youth system. No, but just because it's not working just now, Charles, doesn't mean that it's not working for tomorrow. I think sometimes tomorrow's fruit was a seed yesterday, mate, and I think you will see players coming through eventually, because this rolling ball of just buying and buying and buying, it has to end somewhere. There will be players coming through who are just not quite at the level what we're used to, and that's fine. But under a guy like Ange Postecoglou, no matter who he's got, he will make better. And you give these guys who I've just mentioned a full pre-season with the first team, not just fits and starts, a full pre-season, and you watch the players develop. I mean, there's high hopes for Lawal, for talk's sake. I mean, that guy just looks like a different beast in that B team. Every time I saw clips of him, he just looks like a monster. I mean, and if you're a Celtic defender, you've got to have a presence, and he looks like he's a presence. He might be one for the future. I never ever heard Kieran Tierney until he came on that day for Izaguirre at Dundee, I think it was. I'd never heard of Callum McGregor either. I'm not gonna lie to you. These players just sometimes just come up out of nowhere. And Celtic, I've always got a conveyor belt of players coming through. It's whether they're good enough or no is the question. But I think the talent at a certain level has always been there. Whether they can make it a club at Celtic, I do not know. But you don't just close the doors because it's not working just now, Charles. I think stick at it. Give Ange a bit more control over the youth system. The guy's a busy man, but I'm sure he will keep his head in the door and see what's happening. And I think if anybody can get it right, it's Ange Postecoglou. He seems to know what he's doing, and as I said earlier on, pick that guy's brains because there's knowledge there that I think even he knows that he can make a club better in every way. That's a good question there, Charles. I think a wee bonus question in here for the Holy Goalie. He's asking me what my favourite takeaway is. Now, I like the Holy Goalie's questions, not too serious, and it gives me something to think about. Now, I love pizza. Holy Goalie, I love it, mate. It's my favourite food. I barely eat, to be honest with you, but it's my wee treat I have with my vodka at the weekend. I have a wee pizza. Ideally with a bit of doner meat and tappet, or chips, cheese and curry sauce, something like that. Something that just can stick to your ribs and can soak up all that alcohol I've just had, mate. But a pizza for me. I mean, I like a wee calzone as well. My brother's went to Italy and he said the pizzas there are shite, so quite surprising. But nah, I stick to my. I actually prefer a pizza for the Indians and rather than Italians. I think the pizzas for the Indians are more fluffy and a lot more flavour in the chicken and the meat and the sauce. It's always a bit more flavoursome, and that's my favourite food, mate. Anybody get any other food choices they want to put in the comments below? Let me know. Let me know what your favourite type of food is. Give the Holy Goalie some something to stew over. And speaking of food, don't forget to log into piesports.com. They've been so good with us. They've sponsored us the last year now, and I think the orders are flying in. Just go into there. I've bought a pile of pies for myself and my big mate in England, and they're going to be arriving this week for him, so I'm sure he'll love that. The doner meat kebab pies seemingly are outstanding. I've still not tried mine yet. As I say, I keep my treats for the weekend. Anybody that's bought the pies, just leave the comments below. Let everybody know what ones is your favourites, and then you never know, we might get some better discounts from piesports.com. So anybody wanting a wee discount, it's Bus 1888. That's Bus 1888 for 12.5% off your orders. Their food's fantastic, guys. They deliver on your chosen day. And thanks again to Pie Sports for sponsoring us. The Bhoycie Bus t-shirts, they're still on sale. They're picking up pace. They're selling pretty fast. So try and get in there, guys, so we can get a big order put in and get you all your shirts faster. They're £40. And the reason why they're £40 is a bit more expensive than the usual kind of merchandise you get for the podcast. But Bhoycie, when we were deciding which shirts to get, Bhoycie decided that if he was going to be selling a quality shirt, he was going to go to a high-spec retailer, and the shirts he's got are basically the same level of shirt you would see at a professional football team. That's the quality of them, so you have them for as long as you want. You can wear them to the match. The quality is just there to be seen. They're not going to fade away and go all baggy and things like that. So that's why I decided to get the best, so that people are going to get their money's worth rather than spending £20 in a polo that's going to go bobbly in the wash. These things are quality. I think they will be noticed. I think anybody that knows the Celtic strip will know these strips are based on some of the best kits we've ever had at Celtic. So please log in and look at the strips if you've not seen it yet, and even drop Bhoycie or myself a DM on Twitter and we can get a wee shirt ordered for you. They really are high spec, guys. And listen, thanks for all your questions. I appreciate anybody who's writing in, because I do see all the questions. It's hard to pick 3. Sometimes I want to do 5, but we'll keep it at 3 just now. But we will maybe expand it, the more questions that's coming in. But we do appreciate them all. And listen, don't be discouraged if you know the question in yet. What the idea is, if you want, you can repost your question and I'll get back to it as soon as I can. And even if I've missed it, just highlight the fact that I've missed it and I'll pick up on it. I promise you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hail, hail. Have a nice night, guys. One hoops.